Another story making headlines this afternoon. Advocate Malesela Teffo has been struck off the roll by the High Court in Pretoria for improper conduct and theft of clients' money. The High Court says Teffo has no regard for the justice system and is not fit and proper to continue practicing as an advocate. The High Court says the removal of his name from the roll of legal practitioners is justified. Let's deliberate further on this now and speak to the spokesperson of the Legal Practice Council, Kabelo Letebele. Kabelo, thank you so much for coming in. I suppose you're welcoming this ruling.
Yes, absolutely. The Legal Practice Council welcomes the ruling. It's been a long journey. The first set of charges, or complaints rather, we received in 2019, and we actually wanted the matter to sit back in March 2021. And for some reason, things just kept on. We couldn't get the date. At times, the advocate himself was not accessible. So it's been a journey, and we're relieved that finally a ruling has been made. Are
you able to put to a number for us, or even just give us a sense of these complaints? Because the court talks about the theft, it talks about various other things, but how many were these?
We have a total of 22 charges. They range from assault to misappropriation of funds. Some of them were really serious. For example, taking off funds from a client, but not showing up at court, and for advocates to receive funds, normally there's a process that you have a briefing attorney in between, or an advocate has to apply to be able to then, take in public funds. Advocate Teffo was with one of the charges. He was not briefed by an attorney, and he took money directly from a member of the public, not being authorized to do so.
I suppose, one then would want to know what kind of reasons did he canvass for this, because when I was listening to the ruling, for example, he doesn't seem to have justified much. Of why he did what he did in terms of defending himself, but also then filing, additional papers. So what are some of the reasons that he gives for this? Because one would think that an advocate would know that an attorney is the go-between. So
we, unfortunately, Advocate Teffo had many chances to rebut some of the 22 complaints that were with the Legal Practice Council. In court, we presented the story, the complaints with evidence. He had an opportunity to state his case against each of the 22 cases. He opted not to. And in fact, today in court, the judges said as much. So it's really him who knows why he did what he did in clear contravention of the Legal Practice Act and the Code of Conduct.
Is he disbarred for life, or is this expected to expire?
So there isn't a stipulated period. Once the court has made a ruling on to strike off a legal practitioner, he can appeal. That's a possibility. However, with regards to a strike-off, which is now in effect, there is no stipulated time. He can possibly in a few years reapply, but he will have to prove that he is now fit and proper. He'll prove that he'll need to apply formally, and the Legal Practice Council will also have a view as to whether or not he is now fit and proper to be readmitted. So it's a process.
The court, saying that he abused his status as an advocate for personal gain, and I'm borrowing from them there, they're saying that he took advantage of some of the vulnerable, desperate clients given their situation by exerting their position of power, and sometimes did not render the services, as you were saying earlier on. The court saying that this is theft. And quite worryingly, though, with this one is that there are no proper records that were also presented to the court to try and persuade the court otherwise. That is quite damning, because it also speaks to a situation where record keeping is not something that is possibly happening there, and which is critical in the legal fraternity.
So We now, as the Legal Practice Council, the court has ruled that the files, the funds, everything that Advocate Teffo was working on or had worked on, there will be a curator from the Legal Practice Council who look into all of that. Members of the public who might have a complaint or, you know, a matter, they're welcome to come forth to the Legal Practice Council. With regards to record keeping, I mean, when you get admitted, the standards, and in fact, the Legal Practice Council stipulates exactly what kind of standards that legal practitioners need to comply with. So it would be surprising that he wouldn't have known. He will know. And but once we now take over the practice, his practice, we will have a clearer picture as to what awaits us.
You say that this has been a long time coming. You've been hoping to make sure that this matter is heard as speedily as possible. We've seen him in the public domain saying that, you know, there is an effort to try and get him to not be in, you know, the Senzo Mewa murder trial, talking about how there's concerted effort, accusing the president as well, accusing the police ministry, as well as the NPA of really just trying to divert his attention, you know, from doing this work, and listening to the court saying that there was a letter and they're not going to be, you know, descending to that particular arena. So when I hear what you're saying, that this matter has been a long time coming, how much of a basis then is there in that argument that he says that there has been a concerted effort to get him off the roll because of this particular case of the Meyiwas?
There is no basis for him to claim that. And even if there was, you know, there has been the complaints that came in. We received them. We indicated to him that he is potentially in contravention of the code and the act. Let him present an argument or a reason why this is not the case. So he had that with the LPC. At court, we presented our case, all these 22 complaints. He had an opportunity again to say, why are these not relevant? He didn't take it up. So all he said is that there is a conspiracy. He has not produced anything that suggests that A, the Legal Practice Council is wrong, and B, evidence of that conspiracy.
So you're not hounding him?
No, we follow the process. Our disciplinary process is very clear and is stipulated by the Legal Practice Act, Section 34 to Section 41. It's very clear. Anyone can read and say what happens when a legal practitioner has a case to answer. And if you check our approach, we were quite thorough in making sure that we are in line.
The court speaking about, you know, the ethical issues and how, as a practitioner of the court, has that ethical duty to ensure that he's as truthful with members of the public and all of that. What does a ruling like this one now mean for the work of the legal fraternity and how it is viewed going forward?
It was important for this case to be heard. And in a way, the amount of public attention that it received, you know, can be good. What's important, for members of the public, is that members of the public need to make sure that when they're dealing with a legal practitioner, they must check that that legal practitioner is registered with the Legal Practice Council. But the case also tells all legal practitioners that there are serious standards that are expected of them, and they must essentially always abide by those rules. So
should he appeal, will it stand, do you think this particular case can stand the scrutiny and you'll still get the same outcome you got in court today?
We are very confident about that. Should he launch an appeal, we will also approach court to say, while listening to his appeal, this order should stand, so that we do not expose the public to any danger.
All right, let's see if he will respond, because I know our team has also been trying to reach out to him just to get his side of the story. But do appreciate you coming in. That was a spokesperson at the Legal Practice Council, Kabelo Letebele.